Hello, this is Leslie Kane. I am the host of the Why Not Today podcast. This podcast is here to celebrate people who have been courageous and said, why not today? I started the podcast in honor of my father, Patrick Kane, who often said, why not today? I'm based in Reston, Virginia, a planned community right outside of Washington, D.C. And thanks for joining us today. And I'm super excited about my guest, Marissa Roy, and I don't really know her well. She discovered me on social media, and we started connecting. And she's, from what I've seen, she has an interesting story. So I haven't really figured it all out. But I always talk about, how do you connect and how do you meet people? And so I was very impressed, Marissa, how you were very good with social media, that you were working with a friend of mine and then I started following you, and then instantly you're sending me messages, and then very softly really reconnecting and got my attention. I started watching you. I'm like, I want to get to know her. And, we make those connections like, okay, who do you know? And you were very good at connecting me back to my friend Jenna Lynn. And you used to live in Northern Virginia area. So it's kind of, when you can find a connection, I think you feel like you know somebody. So I'm super excited to hear from you today. So welcome. So why don't we start with, tell us a little about you and who you are and a fun fact that people might not know, and then let's get into the courage stuff.
Cool. Well, I could basically say any fact, right? Because you basically don't know a lot about me.
Well, we want some fun.
Okay, yeah. So thanks for having me. First of all, I'm super excited. This, as we'll get into it, this whole mantra is just so relevant to my story. So I'm excited to just be able to share it. So yeah, like you said, I grew up in the Northern Virginia area. I have lived there my entire life, except for up to May of last year. On May of 2022, my husband and I moved to North Carolina. So we're outside of Charlotte now, but I am a born and bred Nova person.
Where'd you go to high school?
James Madison in Vienna.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I guess a fun fact about me would be that I found my roots in athletics and fitness and performance and all these fun things with volleyball. I basically played a bunch of different sports. I'm an only child. That's another fun fact. So I basically got to try every sport, between rollerblading down the block to playing wiffle ball in the front yard with my dad to doing lacrosse, basketball, soccer leagues, and all of it was fine. I was, at least half decent at most of them, but nothing really clicked for me until I started playing volleyball. And the day I started, I was hooked, and I dropped every other sport. And I'm very much, third fun fact, very all in type of person. So once I find something that I love, I just double down on it. And it was like that with volleyball. It was like that with fitness, with business, all those things. But, when I was 10, 11 years old, I had all these sports under my belt, and I was like, nope, volleyball is the one. And I proceeded to do that year round for basically the rest of elementary school, middle school, high school, up until college. Yeah. So, that's a fun fact.
Okay, yay. Well, tell me, we're going to start with talking about courage. What does courage mean to you?
What does courage mean to me? Well, I would say that a lot of times people mistake courage for doing things in the absence of fear, but I would say that courage is doing things with fear present, but doing it anyways, because that's how we grow, and that's how we push ourselves to become the next level or the next version of ourselves. So whatever it is you're trying to do, if you are being courageous about it, it doesn't mean that you're fearless. And being fearless, I think, is a impossible state to get to, because we all have fear and we're all human. So how can we be courageous instead? How can we have that fear, own that fear, and then be able to progress and take steps towards our goals anyways?
Love that. So I don't know if you checked out my website at all, which is brand new, launched at the end of the year. So I'm super excited about that. But I've put courage cards on it. So everybody that I ask what courage means, we've made courage cards with your
cool
definition of courage. So
love that.
All right. So what have you done in your life that takes courage? So tell us about your business, how you got there. I'm very intrigued about what this whole business is like. So let's share that.
Yeah, I think the whole story kind of like really kind of flows into each other from where I even just left off with talking about volleyball. So, like I said, I was very much an all-in type of person. So I played volleyball through all of my years of middle school, high school, year round. It was basically my whole life. I was either doing homework or I was traveling to volleyball tournaments and at practice or at extra conditioning or clinics and all these things. And basically, that whole world of athletics got me interested in how do I best fuel my body for performance with nutrition? And how do I get better at this sport? And that's where it all stemmed from. And so I was starting to take like on the side of practice, strength and conditioning classes where I would learn how to lift weights. It wasn't really like traditional lifting, but it was enough to like get me some strength, improve my vertical, that sort of thing. And then I was really interested in the nutrition, and like high school was really when it all started, when I really, really wanted to learn more about how to best fuel my body. Unfortunately, the internet is a place of many, many different sources of information. And
That's so true.
there's more now, which is even scarier to think about. But, with Google and like all the different social media platforms that were starting to like boom at the time, I was like, well, I'm just going to do whatever research that I can. And unfortunately, I found myself falling into the trap that a lot of the clients that we work with now have been in for years or decades, which is where I found, kind of my purpose with the business that I started. I fell into the trap of downloading MyFitnessPal, following its recommendations, which, by the way, those are horrible recommendations, of eating 1,200 calories a day, of restricting myself to lose fat. And like I was saying that I wanted to improve my performance, but what I was really doing was trying to get skinnier or lose weight or look like the models on the covers of magazines, because that's what I was looking at the time. And I thought, well, if I want to look like that, then I need to eat a certain way. And the only way that I figured out how to do that was through eating quote unquote healthy, which my definition of that at the time was restriction and not having sweets and eating 1,200 calories. And it led me into a very vicious cycle of basically only making it 2 or 3 days of doing that successfully, if that, and then just binging on everything that was in the pantry or the fridge or whatever it was, and feeling terribly guilty and awful about myself because I felt like something was wrong with me. And I felt like I had no willpower. I had no discipline. I was the problem because I couldn't stick to the plan. And as a teenage girl, that did quite a number on my self-confidence and self-efficacy and all these things. And the only thing that brought me out of it was finally stumbling across the right resources on social media, because Instagram was starting to become more popular at this time. And I found some more evidence-based practitioners that were preaching how to actually fuel your body with more food, how to incorporate your favorite foods in moderation, why strength training is better than cardio for looking the way that you want to look. And these beliefs are still very much perpetuated throughout this industry, but it's getting better. The messaging is getting better, but there is still a lot of BS out there. And so I stumbled across the right people very early on and immersed myself in that knowledge. And so here's the common theme. I found that. I was like, wow, I love that. I went all in on it. So as soon as I graduated from high school, I said, I'm going to do something with this right away. So I started personal training at a local gym, immediately got my CPT, and certified personal trainer. Sorry.
Okay.
Immediately started training clients in person at a basic corporate gym. Did that for about 6 months and was basically just burnt out because I'm, another fun fact, very much an introvert.
Okay.
And I was very drained by training clients in person and just the like constant engagement that takes and the split shifts and all of that stuff. So I saw that at the same time, these evidence-based practitioners that I was following, listening to, learning from, were also taking their businesses online. So this is about 2015, 2016. And March 8th, so funny enough, 3 days from when you started your business. Yeah, March 8th of 2016, I decided, why not today? And I put up a very, very, very ugly website from sitebuilder.com. I was still 18 years old at the time.
Wow.
And I just said, like, why not? And
Why not today?
genuinely, I do not remember really thinking that hard about it. I literally just did it and it just happened. I started taking on some clients for free. I started taking on my first few clients online for like $50 a month and like, just, hey, give me experience. Can I coach you for free? Can I do this? Figuring it out. Thankfully, I was an 18-year-old without that many responsibilities at the time. But over the course of the next couple of years, I was able to create that to become a full-time income. And by 2018, I was supporting myself financially. And I was just coaching clients one-on-one. And it was like me, my email, Excel sheets. And the funny enough thing is that I originally started the business because I was like, wow, I can sit here in sweatpants and not see anyone or talk to anyone. I could just send emails. Sounds amazing for my introvert self. Fast forward 7 years and I'm on Zoom, basically back to back all day long, talking to people, speaking in front of big crowds, like doing basically the opposite of what an introvert would want to do. I love it, but it's just ironic and funny how that all works out.
You know, the best definition I've ever heard of introvert and extrovert, which kind of lives, it really works. Introvert, you get energy from being alone. Extrovert, you get energy from being with people. So if you're an introvert, you need to make sure you're fitting time. If you're in front of all these people, fitting time in to fill you back up.
Oh, absolutely. I remember I had my first speaking gig in a very long time, actually a couple weeks ago. And afterwards, I had to drive home from Northern Virginia to North Carolina. So like a 6-hour drive. And I was wiped. I was chugging coffee on the drive home because I had just poured so much into that crowd of people. And I was like, oh my goodness, I am tired.
Yeah, exactly. I know the feeling.
Yeah, but essentially, that's kind of the whole origin story of Why Not Today, how my business came to be. And just to kind of fast forward us to where we are today, in 2021, I decided I wanted to scale my business to a bigger mission. And so I ended up starting to hire a team. And now I have a staff of 13 amazing individuals.
Wow.
We've served over 190 now people since August of 2021 to transform their lives. And what we do is we help women who have been in that toxic yo-yo dieting cycle for years or for decades to get out of that, find the body that they love, and be able to actually keep it permanently because of the mindset and the lifestyle changes that they put in place that make it a permanent change, hence the name of the company.
And what's the name of your company?
Permanent Change Coaching.
I like that. Yeah, because there are so many different things out there, as you said, in different sources, and everybody believes what they see online, which is scary. Probably my favorite story about that is a friend of mine owns a restaurant locally, and another friend had come. Her and her husband came and had a great experience, loved the restaurant, and then they had some friends coming from out of town, so they recommended the restaurant. Well, the people went on Google and saw a bad Yelp review, and believe the stranger on Yelp versus their friends that experienced it. I'm like, what have we come to with, believing everything that shows up online? So I love your philosophies, and it's a permanent change, and you starting your business, like Why Not Today, and jumping all in. And I am definitely an all in kind of girl also, and have had to train myself to like, okay, what can you do today? And little things, and not having to do, and with like exercise and working out. Years ago, I was the all-in girl that I would go, I'm like, all right, today, January 1st, I'm getting healthy. And I go to the gym and lift so many weights and do so much exercise, and I couldn't move for a week. So finally, when I started my fitness journey, it was like, okay, what can I do today and commit once a week? And I started taking water aerobics, of all things. And it was like, I'll do it once a week. And then it was twice a week. And by June, it was several times in the week. And by October, I was teaching.
That's awesome.
Like, all right, I can do this. So, but yeah, it takes that courage to get out of bed and just do the things and to take care of ourselves. So tell me, I know, we're talking about courage and starting your business, but let's talk about some of the courageous things that you teach as part of your coaching that may be a little different, or that's permanent change.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say that doing anything differently than the way you've done it before takes courage, because it's scary to try a different approach, right? And it's a delicate balance with like, we work with a lot of women that are that all in type of person, and they've been all or nothing with their fitness journey basically their whole life, where it's like, I'm either going to the gym 6 days a week for an hour, 2 hours, and dedicating everything. I have to drop everything to prioritize my fitness, and I get in the best shape of my life, and then it lasts for like 2 weeks, and then it's gone, because then it's back to nothing, right? And so I would say what takes courage is challenging those beliefs, and that's where it starts. Is if you want sustainable change and you want permanent change in your health and your fitness journey, and ideally, right, the end goal for all of these women is not just, okay, I want to lose a certain number of pounds, but it's, I want the lifestyle to be something that's just, it's just a part of my life, rather than something that I'm on and I'm off, because that roller coaster is exhausting.
Yeah.
And where that really starts is just with your beliefs, and learning what they are, finding awareness around them. What do I believe about exercise? What do I believe about nutrition? And kind of just questioning, like, is that actually true? Like, the belief I need to work out 5 days a week for an hour to see results. Is that actually true? Or is that just what your experience was the last time that you got in shape? And the problem with that is people don't know what they don't know. So what we do is we provide the guidance and the education and the knowledge to help our clients learn that, no, actually, you can work out 4 days a week for 20, 25 minutes at a time and see great results, as long as our nutrition's dialed in too. But, we have this all or nothing thinking, that the belief holds us back from doing anything less than 5 days a week for an hour, or whatever the belief is. And so we don't do anything at all.
Right.
And then we're not getting anywhere. So we have to start with just kind of honestly, just self-awareness, which takes courage, because it's uncomfortable to really look at yourself honestly in the mirror like that. So I would say that's where the courage starts.
Yeah. And the self-awareness piece is so important, and self-coaching to say, is this going to work for me or not? And again, that all or nothing, all these diets, and I know things have worked for a lot of people, but all this all or nothing kind of thing, like, you can't have this, you can't have that. As soon as you tell me I can't have something, I'm such a freedom and flexibility girl. I don't even like to be told to do from me. Like, you tell me I can't have something, and then it's like, okay, give it to me. You crave it, you see it, you want it.
Well, that's why we own our own businesses, right? Because we don't want to be told what to do by anyone else.
Exactly. Yeah. I came upon that years ago when I realized, I need that flexibility. Each day is different, because, and I need health and fitness to be flexible with my life. Like, I can't be a member of a gym when I'm gone 200 days out of the year,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
be able to make it work for your life and the way, you're thinking. So, let's kind of talked about a lot of the questions I go over. So how'd you feel after starting your business? Right choice? Ever regret it?
I mean, definitely don't regret it. Like I said, it was just kind of ironic how it ended up. Like, the intention of starting it was, let me avoid people. And then it ended up being like, I get to meet so many awesome people, like how we just randomly connected. Like, you followed me through a client. I was like, hey, Jenilyn, this is really cool. And now here we are. Like, I just love this stuff, but it's just ironic knowing what the intention was back in 2016. I was like, let me just hide behind my computer. But
yeah,
I mean, how did I
what we wish for?
I know, right?
With my Mary Kay business, when I first got out of college, my mom's friends would sell a Mary Kay. I said, don't ever talk to me. I'm never going to buy it. I'm never going to sell it. Don't talk to me. And yeah,
here we are.
28 years ago.
Here we are.
Yeah.
How did I feel after I said, why not today? I don't think I have a poor memory, but I think that I was just and something that I believe is a strength of mine, and can also be a weakness if taken too far, is that I'm very, very action driven. And so I'll take a lot of messy action and not really think twice about it. And I almost think that ignorance at the time was my superpower, because I was an 18-year-old. I had no reason to believe that anyone would take me seriously.
Right.
And I went ahead and just like didn't think about it. I just was like, all right, here it is. I remember feeling very excited, but I don't really remember second guessing. And I think it was just pure like ignorance is bliss. Like if we're being completely honest.
And that's a good thing. It's just like take the idea and run with it. I'm like you. It's just like very rarely do I take a long time and like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And that's how this podcast all started. It's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to do it. And this is the date. And I had no idea what it's going to look like. And it's taken me a while to get it going. I mentioned the website. I mean, I started this in March, and every day on my to-do list was work on a website. And finally, like beginning of December, I'm like, you know what, I need to get this done before year end and finish it and have it finished. So it's one of those things. It's just like learning it every day you go. And I think that's with any business endeavor, that it's just starting, and that's the hardest thing. You'll figure it out.
And like finding, like just putting those deadlines on the calendar. Like, I don't think I necessarily had a deadline when I started my business. I think I probably put the website up start to finish in a matter of 24 hours, probably, because I was just like, all right, we're doing this today.
Yeah,
but
why not today?
When it comes to those projects, like I remember when I started my podcast with one of my best friends, who's also a fitness coach. She owns her own business similar to mine. And we wanted to start
podcast name, just
the Barbell Lifestyle Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So we started it in December of 2020. And I remember like bringing it up to her probably only a few weeks prior to when we actually started it. And then we just set a really aggressive timeline for when we were going to start it. And like, when you do that, it just happens, right? It forces you to do the things on time rather than being like, well, you know, I'll start tomorrow or whatever. One of my favorite quotes.
Things start happening too, you know?
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Alex Hormozi, who's someone I love to follow, who's just like an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, that sort of person, is one of the ways to never be successful, never make any money, never enjoy your life is to start tomorrow. And if you start tomorrow, then like you will ruin whatever business that you have started.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, you know, the whole mantra of why not today. There was a restaurant in Reston years ago, and they had a sign in there. I'll never forget it. It says free beer tomorrow.
Yeah.
Never going to happen.
Yeah. Love that.
Just got to do it. And I think once you get an idea and put into motion, and you have the passion behind it, you're excited, then things do start happening and falling into place. I had a mentor one time. She said, things don't fall in your lap unless your lap is out there. And so when you're out doing things, then, you know, you're already out in front of people. And it just,
I love that.
So, and I have a question for you. You started as an entrepreneur super young, 18 is very young. But you know, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody the other day about the kids these days, and they're starting businesses, you know, entrepreneurs super young. But were your parents entrepreneurs, or they work for somebody?
My mom was not. My mom immigrated from Korea when she was 13 years old. And so she has always she's been in like the government contracting world. So, I mean, very typical for the Northern Virginia area. And my dad, I would say I picked this up from him, which is also why I love the inspiration for your podcast, because it's such a deep connection to your dad. And I actually also have a tattoo in remembrance, and my dad's not dead, but he inspired this phrase, which is DIWE, do it with enthusiasm. And I was going through a really hard time last summer. And I was asking him for some advice just about life and certain decisions that I had to make. And basically his advice was something that his dad said. And he said, whatever you do it with enthusiasm.
Love it.
Because it's your choice, right? And if you're going to choose to do it, then do it with enthusiasm. And so I got that tattooed over the summer last year. And I'm sure that when he passes, I will probably add on to the artwork around this. But he is still, he will never stop working. He is an engineer, software, hardware. He never finished college though. But
Okay.
he's probably taken enough college credits to probably have like 3 or 4 degrees. He
Mm-hmm.
just never finished it. And because he doesn't have any letters behind his name, he always kind of had to be an entrepreneur in a way. He's started multiple businesses. He's won government contracts for certain projects with a bunch of different like international security projects, NASA, the FBI, CIA, all these different things that he's been able to do without like the typical credentials that an engineer would need. And he actually is on an entrepreneurial journey right now. I'll give him a shameless plug here. He has a
Okay.
business called Call Genie, and I'm super proud of it. It's awesome. So it's basically a way, like, you know how with like Skype or like Amazon, they have that new feature where you can like pull up a video call on your TV. So it's basically that, but it allows families to pop in on their elderly family members without needing the elderly family members' permission. So it's basically like a way to check on, you know, grandma or grandpa.
You can do, is that the thing, like an Amazon thing, or Alexa
So
thing?
it's completely
Or
separate.
okay.
It's completely separate, but I'm just giving the analogy of like if you have a
Same
video
same
call
thing, right?
on your TV, yeah, but it's just without the permission of the 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 person on the other end saying like, oh yeah, accept the call, because they might not
Okay.
be able to, they might not be cognitively
Right.
there enough
That's
to
a
do
great
that.
business. A
Yeah. And
great
so
need.
he's working on that and working on scaling that and putting in software and technology to where there's motion sensors to detect like, oh, if they fall, you turn on the call right away, get in touch with the family so they can call 911. Or like if there's, you know, not enough movement, like tuning in, seeing like, hey, are they sleeping? Like what's going on?
Right.
And just putting in those safety metrics as well. So he's on that journey right now. I think he started
That's
that maybe
awesome.
about a year ago. So I wanted to give him that plug because it's
Yeah.
super dope.
Well, you know what? Another, and I always like to connect and help people with ideas, is another market he might be able to tap into is my youngest sister has Down syndrome. And so
Yeah.
I'm in that world. I'm on the board of directors of a group home in the area. And that might
Yeah.
be a good, I don't know about privacy stuff, but a good thing for people with disabilities living on their own too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that would be a great market. I can definitely put you in contact.
Yeah. And the reason I asked if your parents were entrepreneurs, one thing I have discovered is more often than not, if you have an entrepreneur track, you were raised by somebody that was an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
my dad owned his own business and I watched him, you know, he was there for all of our soccer games and all of our activities. And yet at night after dinner, he went into his office and worked. You
Yep.
know, he worked a lot, but he still was there for the things that were important.
That was exactly my experience.
Fulfilled.
Like I didn't, the crazy thing is I never knew how many hours a week he worked because he was always present for me. But
Exactly.
when I asked him in hindsight, because now we can have these conversations because I'm just old enough, mature enough to like understand all this stuff now. He was probably clocking 80, 90 hours a week just on a normal week. Like that was just his life. That's what he did. And I never had any idea.
Yeah, that's the same as my dad. He was very present. And he actually took, when I was 16, my parents bought an RV and we traveled for 5 weeks cross country. And we
Wow.
would stop at a campsite and he'd go to the payphone and work. And I didn't realize what he gave us as gifts that was able to do that. And I've been able to model that with my world and my life. I don't have kids, but I have 7 nieces and nephews. And I've been the cool
Yeah.
aunt that have been able to take them on vacations and not miss any school play or do any of those things and be there for my
Love that.
sister to help her. So yeah, own your own business is definitely, if you got it in you, it's definitely the way to go. And so I encourage people through this podcast to do the things that scare you and just try it. You just never know.
Yeah. Well, the thing about like this day and age too is like everything hinges, and like I know this is why like you were also intrigued by like my personal brand, but everything hinges on personal branding. So
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
do you show up on social media? Who are you? Because it doesn't matter what you're selling, what your business is, like people don't buy into the product, they buy into you. So
Right.
me as a personality is a lot of times the attracting feature for people to come to PCC. And so how I show up, how I present myself on social media, like that is your marketing, no matter if I was selling socks or coaching, right?
Right. And that's so important. It's interesting. You know, I listened to a podcast one time talking about personal brand, and it's like the reason you post a picture of your food and what you're doing is people get to know, like, and trust you. And my sister ran into she's got a new job, one of my other sisters, and there's a couple of people she worked with, and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Leslie. She's your sister. Like, I haven't seen her talk to these people in years. And then they love and adore me because they see me on social media and what I do.
Yeah.
You know, so you just never know. All right. So we could talk forever and ever, but I always ask, what encouragement would you give somebody to say, why not today? I know we've kind of talked about it around.
Yeah. What encouragement would I give somebody to say, why not today? I would say, why not today? And I would also beg you to ask yourself, why not me? Like, a lot of times it's like, okay, why not today? Like, putting the urgency behind it, starting now rather than tomorrow. But another place where like self-doubt kind of roots itself is like, well, I'm not capable of that. Like, I'm not meant for those greater things, whether that's a fitness goal, a business goal, like anything. We tend to just like think that we're special and something is so wrong with us that we can't achieve the thing that we want. But the reality of it is that, like, I'm not special. You're not special. No one is so special that we can start our own businesses and someone else can't. Right. And so the question I would ask you to ask yourself is, why not me? And really like dig into that question. Why not you? Like, there is nothing inherently wrong with you to the point where you can't get what you want out of life. It is all there for you. There are freaking 5-year-olds making $1 million by posting Twitch streaming on YouTube.
I know, isn't that crazy?
It's incredibly frustrating. And my kids will not have technology until they need to go to sports practices and text me when to pick them up.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing is, it's just, I think I'm a little bit mentally ahead of myself in terms of age when it comes to like my perceptions around technology, because I'm like, AI, like, screw that. I don't want anything to do with that. That's scary. My kids aren't touching TV. They're not touching an iPad until they're like 15. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
Why not you? Really dig into that. You're not so special in the fact that you're broken or incapable or incompetent of achieving whatever it is you want. Usually the gap between where you are, where you want to be, is just a matter of finding the right knowledge, guidance, support, education, or just taking some action to get yourself started.
Everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
Just starting. Yeah. I have a mentor that said that to me, why not me? And I remember exactly where I was in my car when she said it to me, and it's always stuck. The other thing, I don't know, I have a diamond bumblebee ring. You can see
Love that.
But it's a Mary Kay prize. And Mary Kay, so you know the story behind the bumblebee?
No.
Okay. According to law of physics, a bumblebee shouldn't fly. It weighs too much for its wings.
Oh, yeah.
So as women, we're often told we can't do something, but we can do anything we put our mind to. And so Mary Kay gives us diamond bumblebees as prizes as a reminder of that. So yeah, why not me? And just get started. Say, why not today? Well, this has been fun. I love getting to know you, and I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. So tell us how people can get in touch with you, and you will for sure follow up because you're so good. And then we'll share in the show notes information about your contact information too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll just keep it simple. Like, Instagram is the easiest place. I'm the most active there. Like, I'm on a bunch of different platforms, but like the primary is just direct everything back to the Instagram profile. So that's just Marissa Roy Fitness. So 1 R, 2 S's, Marissa Roy Fitness. And yeah, just shoot me a DM or, you know, check out the page, follow for funny or insightful reels and content.
Right. Well, thank you. It's been fun to have you on, and I love
so
getting
much.
to know new people, and I love that I didn't really know you until today.
Yeah,
So thank you everybody for listening, and you can find the Why Not Today podcast on iTunes and App and Google and Spotify, all the places. My website is active now. Check out the Why Not Today podcast website. And when you go listen to the podcast, let me know you're listening. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, rate, review, share the podcast, and let us know you're listening. So thanks again for listening today. And thank you, Marissa, for sharing your courage story.
Thank
We'll
you
be
so
back
much.
in 2 weeks.